here are today's starting lineups. First from head coach Rick Hertensteiner. For the visitors from Malibu, California, the Pepperdine Waves. Leading off in right field, number 2, Grant Shane. Batting second at shortstop, number 6, John Peck. Batting third to second baseman, number 15, Ryan Johnson. Batting fourth in left field, number 32, Charles Messino. Batting fifth, the designated hitter, number 10, Jack Bessier. Batting sixth, the third baseman, number 41, Greg Melhoff. Batting seventh and catching, number 11, Quint Landis. Batting eighth at first base, number 35, Lincoln Oriana. And batting ninth in center field, number 21, Connor Bradshaw. Starting pitcher for the Waves today is number 5, Shane Telfer. And now from head coach Jeff Loomis for the home team, your Portland Pilots. Leading off in center field, number 4, Jake Holcroft. Batting second, the designated hitter, number 7, Jake Sukata. Batting third at first base, number 28, Zach Tolia. Batting fourth in left field, number 14, Briley Knight. Batting fifth and catching, number 13, Nick Klemp. Batting sixth, the second baseman, number 11, Ben Pataxel. Batting seventh in right field, number 9, Henry Mensch. Batting eighth at third base, number 2, Evan Scavato. And batting ninth, the shortstop, number 6, Spencer Scott. Starting pitcher for the Pilots today is number 25, Joey Gartrell.
Bring them out, bring them out, bring them out, bring them out. It's hard to yell when the barrel's in your mouth. Bring them out, bring them out. Bring them out, bring them out. Bring them out, bring them out. Bring them out, bring them out.
Fans, please rise if you are able and remove your caps for the playing of the national anthem.
Hello, baseball fans, and happy St. Patrick's Day on a fantastic evening in the Pacific Northwest for the opener to the West Coast Conference season as the Pepperdine Waves travel north to take on the Portland Pilots. As we welcome you into Joe Etzel Field, I'm Brian Slack, and I'll have your call all weekend long. The Waves come in looking to right their path as they're losers of 3 straight at 5-9 on the season. Meanwhile, the Pilots have not dropped a series since Malibu to end last year's regular season against this Pepperdine club, and they'll be looking to get some revenge and start conference playoff with a win today. The Pilots on the mound, they're going to be throwing sophomore Joey Gartrell from Canby, Oregon. Gartrell will be making his 5th start on the season, has a 2-1 record with a 3.98 ERA through 20 and a third innings of work. He's given up 13 hits, 9 earned runs, 17 strikeouts to 12 walks, and opponents are batting a .176 against him. Let's get you the starting lineup for the Pepperdine Waves this afternoon. Grant Shane will be getting the leadoff spot out in right field. John Peck will be the starting shortstop, batting second. Ryan Johnson's at second base, batting third. Charles Messino is out in left field, batting cleanup. Jack Basir is the DH. Greg Melhoff is the third baseman. Quinton Landis, the catcher, and then Lincoln Oriana and Connor Bradshaw will be rounding out the bottom of the lineup for the Waves. Shane will be leading things off. Shane, normally wearing number 4, wears number 2 today, as Pepperdine wearing their camo uniforms with waves across the chest in blue as the first pitch fouled off to our left. Waves written in blue, outlined in orange with the same number on the left lower oblique, gray pants and the black soutache down the side. Meanwhile, the Portland Pilots in the purple cutoff uniforms, purple undersleeves, line shot into left field as it splits Scavato and Scott on the infield, and a leadoff single for the Waves. Let's get to the defense for the Portland Pilots. Out in left field, it's going to be Briley Knight, Jake Holcroft in center, and Henry Mensch in right field. Evan Scavato gets the start at third, Spencer Scott at short, Pataxel at second, Tolia at first, and then Nick Klemp, the senior catcher behind the plate, catching the sophomore pitcher Gartrell. Squaring to bunt, popping it up. Klemp giving chase in just out of his glove. Almost made a sliding catch to get the out on John Peck, who squared to bunt. Instead, we'll start him out with a strike. It'll be 0-1. Peck was picked to be the WCC Player of the Year during the preseason selection. The junior's batting .203, though, in the early part of the year with 12 hits through 59 at-bats. 3 home runs, 7 RBI as he takes a ball here. That'll even the count at 1-1. Decent lead off at first for Shane. Not a big base stealer. No attempts on the season so far. Portland's uniforms today, the purple cutoffs with purple undersleeves, pinstripe pants, and the purple socks. Throw from Gartrell, ground ball. Scavato charging from third down the line. High throw taken by Tolia. And there's one away as Shane moves up to second. Now he's in scoring position for Ryan Johnson, the second baseman for the Waves.
Number 15, Ryan Johnson.
Johnson, a senior from Tempe, Arizona. The senior's batting .426 on the year in 14 games. He's got 20 hits and 47 at-bats. He's driven in 16 on a team-high 7 home runs. First hack he takes, fouls it off to the netting behind home plate. It'll be 0-1. Left side of the infield playing back. Scavato behind the bag at third. Scott, the shortstop's feet are in shallow left field. Pataxel keeping an eye on the runner at second. Gartrell comes home in the dirt, blocked by Klemp. He keeps it in front of him and keeps the runner at bay. That'll even the count at 1-1. The 1-1. Ripped into left field. Knight will chase it down into the corner. Coming in and scoring is Shane from second, and it's an RBI double for Ryan Johnson as he slides in feet first. And the Waves strike first here in the first inning. It's 1-0. And it looked like that ball was left a bit too far over the plate for Johnson, a dangerous hitter from the right side. As Charles Messino, the cleanup man, now up to the plate. The junior's batting .225 as he makes his 12th start on the season. First pitch squares to bunt, but pulls it back on a slider that drops out of the zone. 2-1. Here's another look at that last hit from Ryan Johnson. Again, elevated above the belt and easy for Johnson to turn on. He put that one in the corner for Briley Knight to get to. The 1-0. Fly ball hit down the left field line. It'll go out of play. In fact, on the other side of the bullpen for the Pilots. So just a strike. That'll even the count at 1-1. Messina, though, 9 hits and 40 at-bats, has 1 RBI on the season. As Portland puts a modified look on the infield with the left-handed bat. Well thrown pitch from Gartrell. Called a ball, though, 2-1. Pataxel in shallow right field. Tolia, the first baseman, near the line but playing behind the bag. And Spencer Scott will keep an eye on Johnson over at second. Got Messina to chase on the off-speed high, 2-2. In the dirt, saved by Clem. That'll keep Johnson over at second. Full count to Messina. Got one inside, and he sends it into left center field. Johnson's going to be sent home. Messina rounds first. He'll head back, and it's an RBI single. His second RBI on the season, and he makes it a 2-0 lead for the Waves here in the first inning. Back-to-back RBI hits for the Waves puts them in the lead as Jack Bassier, the DH, will come to the plate. Bassier, a freshman from Pleasanton, California, went to Foothill High School. As he bats from the right side, he's hitting .277 with 13 hits on the year. As he bunts, and I believe he fouled that one off for a strike. It'll be 0-1 to start off the freshman. The 0-1, no chase on a ball in the dirt, again blocked by Klemp. That'll even the count at 1-1. Bassier in 2 seasons at Foothill High School hit .336. He was named league MVP and the NorCal Section Player of the Year. Another throw over to first. Keep the count at 1-1. And his senior season drove in 35 while hitting .377 with 8 home runs. Strike 2 called as that one landed near the knees on the far side of the plate. 1-2. Pepperdine leads this overall series against Portland 77-22. Last season down in Malibu, it was the regular season series finale as the Waves took 2 of 3 from Portland and won in a series that if the Pilots had swept and Gonzaga not won. Here's one down the third baseline, played by Scavato in foul territory behind the bag at third. So we'll reset with the 1-2 and runner over at first. But had the Pilots won those 3 games and Gonzaga lost those 3 games at the end of the year, the Pilots would have seen themselves at the top of the West Coast Conference, headed to the WCC tournament. Although the Waves spoiled that plan by winning the final 2 games of the regular season. Here's the 1-2. Swung on and missed. Fooled on an inside off-speed pitch. And Bassier goes down with a strikeout, 2 away as Melhoff, the third baseman, comes to the plate. Normally wears number 45, but with the camo uniforms wearing number 41. Homecoming for Melhoff. Grad student from Gresham, Oregon, went to Clackamas High School. Former Mount Hood Conference Player of the Year and All-State first-teamer as well as a senior. Goes after a low pitch, golfs it over to first, played by Talia in foul territory for a strike. 0-1 to start off Melhoff. Melhoff hitting .218 through 14 games this year. 12 hits and 55 at-bats. He's got 3 home runs and 12 RBI as he swings through the off-speed from Gartrell. Falls behind 0-2. You see that modified shift by the defense. Again, Pataxo in shallow right field. Another throw over to first, taken by Tolia. As they keep an eye on Messino, not a big threat to steal a base. 0 for 1 in opportunities this year. Inside, just getting out of the way of that one is Melhoff for his first ball, 1-2. And back up the middle into center field. Messino around second. He heads towards third. And now there's runners on the corners for the Waves here in the first inning after a single by Greg Melhoff. Klemp now will go out in front of the plate and give out the signals for the infield with runners on the corners and 2 outs. And coming to the plate, it's Quint Landis. Landis wearing number 11 for the Waves today. Senior from Westlake Village, California, went to Oaks Christian High School. Fouls off the first pitch to our right, now to play. 0-1 to start off this at-bat. Landis only making his 10th start this season, 11th appearance, hitting .241 with 7 hits and 29 at-bats. He's driven in 4 in non-conference play as he takes strike 2 on a slider from Gartrell. 0-2. Infield about their normal positions. No movement from the outfield. The 0-2, no chase on a fastball that ends up in the left-handed batter's box. 1-2. Ball 2. Two runners on the corners. Swung on and missed. Gartrell gets the strikeout to limit the damage with runners on the corners. 2 runs coming to score. It's 2-0 in favor of the Waves. As we head to the bottom of the first, it'll be Holcroft, Sukata, and Tolia coming to the plate for the Pilots on the WCC Network. Welcome back to Joe Etzel Field. Start of the bottom of the first inning as the Waves are now out in the field. Shane Telfer is the man on the mound. The left-hander from San Diego, California, delivers a first pitch ball to Jake Holcroft. It'll be 1-0. Telfer, making his 5th start on the season. 2-0 record with a 2.45 as Holcroft sends this one into right field, and a leadoff single for the Pilots. After giving up 2 runs in the top of the first, the leadoff man is aboard. Telfer's gone 22 innings this year, giving up 14 hits, make it 15 now after the Holcroft single. 7 earned runs, 19 strikeouts to 11 walks. And opponents were batting 179 against him this year. As Jake Sukata, second baseman, is in the game. Correction, DH. Starts him out 0-1. Telfer looks over at Holcroft, and the lefty just missing out of the zone against Sukata evens the count at 1-1. Let's get you the lineup for the Pilots today. Holcroft, Sukata, and Tolia will be your first 3 batters. Knight batting cleanup, Klimt batting 5th, Pataxa will be batting 6th over at second base. Mensch the right fielder, and then followed by Scavato at third base batting 8th, and then Spencer Scott, the shortstop, will be batting 9th today for the Portland Pilots. Telfer comes home with it. Sukata took an outside pitch and sends it into the bullpen and just above the door to the hitting facility for strike 1-2. Here's the defense for the Pepperdine Waves today. Your outfield, it's looking like Messino, Bradshaw, and Shane. From left to right, Melhoff, Peck, Johnson, and Oriana is the first baseman, and Landis will be behind the plate catching Telfer today. The 1-2, no chase on the high pitch. Sukata will even the count at 2-2. The junior from Hawaii is hitting .333 this year in 16 games, making his 14th start. 17 hits and 51 at-bats. He's driven in 10 runs on the season. Takes another pitch that was away and sends it off the Pianovi hitting facility. Sukata has been in and out of the lineup in the field, as he has been DH a couple of times this season, but floating around between third and second. Here's the 2-2, breaking ball that stayed above the letters. It'll be a full count. Here's some of the fans starting to chirp up here. The full count to Sukata. Ground ball into left field through the 5-hole. Holcroft will stop at second, and back-to-back singles for the Pilots here. And with 2 on, that'll bring up Zach Tolia.
First baseman, number 28, Zach Tolia.
Tolia transferred from the University of Utah. He's making his 10th appearance on the season, 7th start. So he squares to bunt, pulls it back. Doesn't matter, it's called a strike. Tolia hit the first home run for the Pilots at Joe Etzel's Field this season. The bats got hot when they were in St. George, Utah against Utah Tech. Here Tolia chases a high fastball, 0-2. Tolia hit .400 against Niagara this past weekend in that 4-game set. Currently holds a 7-game hitting streak, which is the longest for a Pilot player this season. He'll go down on strikes. First one here in the bottom of the first for the Pilots. And now you bring up the other transfer from the University of Utah, Briley Knight. He's been on the bluff for a couple seasons now. The senior's batting .323 as he makes his 16th start, 17th appearance on the year. He's got 20 hits and 15 RBIs. 15 RBI ties him for the lead for the Pilots. So he's tied with a couple of different Pilots. Sends this one behind home plate for a strike. And the lefty from Corvallis will take an 0-1 count. Night to start the season. We keep talking about Nick Klemp and the 17 hits that he had in that series against Utah Tech. But Briley Knight started off the season getting a hit in 11 straight games. Should be mentioned that Talia's 7-game hit streak is long his current streak. The 1-1 breaking ball, then Knight chooses not to chase. Called a strike, 1-2. So it dropped right into the zone. Pilots gave up 2 runs in the top of the first inning, currently trailed 2-0. Two Pilots on the water. Ground ball hit over to first. Played by Oriana, and he'll step on the bag at first, and that's his only play. So both runners move up 90 feet. Holcroft and Tsukada now both in scoring position after the unassisted ground out to Oriana, and that'll bring up Nick Klemp. Klemp hitting .422 in his 17 starts. 27 hits leads the Pilots. He had 29 hits all of last season. As we're just starting conference play, takes a fastball inside below the belt for a strike 0-1. Feet close together at the back of the box. Here's the pitch. Inside for a strike. 0-2 now on Klemp, and the Pilots down to their final strike here in this inning with a threat on second and third. They got the first 2 runners on via singles, then a strikeout and a ground out. The 0-2 to Klemp. Can't get anything on it, goes down with a strikeout. So after the first 2 get on board, 3 straight outs for the Pilots. They strand 2 on the bases as we head to the second inning. A 2-0 lead for the Waves. Oriana, Bradshaw, then back to the top of the lineup to Shane when we return on the WCC Network. Lincoln Oriana leads off the Pepperdine Waves. She swings at the first pitch from Joey Gartrell and falls behind 0-1. Oriana, junior from Apple Valley, California. transferred from Hawaii, where he did not play back in the 2020 season, then spent 2 seasons at American River College before finding a home in Malibu. The 1-1. Swung on and missed again. Oriana looking back in a bit of frustration as he falls behind 1-2. Hitting .171 through 11 games this year. He's got 6 hits and 35 at-bats. Of those 6 hits, 4 of them have gone for doubles, as Gartrell misses out of the zone and low, 2-2. Gartrell at times has had trouble hitting that zone consistently with a few walks as he gets a strikeout right here on Oriana. And the first out of this inning. As Connor Bradshaw, the center fielder, comes to the plate. Bradshaw Jr. from New Rochelle, New York. See the strikeout right there as Oriana left the bat on his shoulder. Check swing. They appeal down to the third base umpire. And it'll be called a ball on Bradshaw. So 1-0. Junior from New Rochelle is batting .186 in 13 games this year with 8 hits. His lone RBI comes via the home run. Bradshaw, the closed off stance, batting from the left side. Sends a fly ball into left field. Briley Knight has an eye on it, gets behind it, and comes up forward for the catch. 2 quick outs here to start off the top of the second inning. Grant Shane will come to the plate now for his second at bat. The senior from Clackamas, Oregon, had a single back in the first inning where he came around and scored thanks to an RBI double by Ryan Johnson. Here he gets delivered a first pitch strike. So 2 former players from Clackamas High School playing for the Waves today, as Gartrell, missing low and away, will even the count at 1-1. Shane, a senior, is batting .333. This is only his 4th game on the season, his 3rd start. As Gartrell delivers a strike on the far side of the plate, 1-2. Now has 3 hits in 7 at-bats. So just some limited action for him. Lays off the pitch from Gartrell that ends up in the right-handed batter's box. That'll even the count at 2-2. Pataxel, the second baseman, in shallow right field. And Shane's going to send this back into center field. It's not going to matter. 2 for 2 for Shane to start off this one. The homecoming proven to be successful early on as John Peck comes up for his second at-bat. Peck is 0 for 1. He grounded out to Evan Scavato his first time up over at third. Fly ball down the right field line. Mensch leaving his position. He's on his horse deep into foul territory as he slides feet first into the fence. He's okay after he loses his hat. The ball ended up actually in the bullpen for Pepperdine. So going all the way back to first is Grant Shane. And it's a long strike. 0-1 to start off Peck. Throw over to first, runner back safely. The 0-1. Peck gets fooled. I think he was looking for something else right there. Gartrell gets him to freeze in the batter's box and now is ahead 0-2 as you see Shane taking his lead off at first. The 0-2. Peck, no chase. Fastball in the left-handed batter's box. It'll be 1-2. Clem keeping an eye on the runner over at first as well. He's getting a big secondary. So he's about 6.5 feet off the bag. Another throw over by Gartrell, taken by Talia. Fly ball into center field. Holcroft took his drop step. Now he comes in, and he'll make the catch over his right shoulder. And that'll strand the runner over at first. So 2 outs and a single by Shane. He gets stranded as we head to the bottom of the second inning. Coming to the plate is Pataxel, Mensch, and Scavato for your Pilots on the WCC Network. Welcome back to Joe Edsel Field. Brian Slyke on the call as we start the bottom of the second inning. The Pepperdine Waves hold a 2-0 lead over the Portland Pilots. As Ben Pataxel swings through a first pitch fastball away. It's 0-1. Pataxel, junior from Renton, Washington, went to O'Day High School. Line drive and just over the glove of John Peck into left field. And another leadoff single for the Pilots. Let's see if they can capitalize this time around. Wasn't sure it was going to get over the glove of Peck. He seemed like he lined it up perfectly, playing on the back of that infield dirt. And the jump just going over the webbing of that glove. For a single for Pataxel as Henry Mensch comes to the plate. Mensch hit .429 in the series against Niagara. He had 4 hits and 4 RBI in the series opener, in which he actually didn't even start. He ended up replacing Christian Cooney, who was hit by a pitch in the helmet and had to leave that game. But Mensch stepped right up, took over in right field, and delivered 4 hits and 4 RBI as the Pilots won 19-2 against the Purple Eagles. Second pitch to Mensch. Challenge fastball that he cannot catch up with. 1-1. Waves were picked to finish 6th in the West Coast Conference this season as Telfer throws over to first. The 1-1. Mensch lays off the high pitch. Mensch, a junior from Seattle, Washington. He too went to O'Day High School. In fact, you'll see quite a few O'Day High School kids sprinkled throughout this conference as Mensch, again, gets beat by Telfer. 2-2. So lights now on here at Joe Edsel Field. 58 degrees and cloudy. A bit different than what it was just even a few hours ago as we were dealing with blue skies, sunshine, and 62-degree weather. Here's the 2-2 to Mensch. Leaves the bat on the shoulder right there on the elevated pitch. That'll make it a full count, 3-2. Full count inside on Mensch, and it's called ball 4. So, first 2 batters for the Pilots on base again, but Telfer got out of the jam last inning with 2 strikeouts and a ground ball to his first baseman. Let's see what magic he can work up this time around as Evan Scavato comes to the plate. Melhoff, the third baseman, now playing in front of that bag, along with the first baseman, Oriana. Squaring to bunt is Scavato, pulls it back on a fastball away, called a ball 1-0. You can tell the weather's a bit warmer than what we had our first few series here at Joe Edsel Field, with the amount of students and fans in the stands. You can see them directly behind home plate right now. A lot more of the student body than what we've seen. Scavato puts down a bunt right in front of home plate. Telfer will take it, and the pitcher delivers a strike over to first to get Scavato, but moves both base runners up 90 feet. So Mensch now stands at second. Pataxel over at third after the sacrifice bunt, and that'll bring up Spencer Scott. Scott, a former WCC Player of the Week after the Pilots took 2 of 3 against Texas A&M down in College Station. That was the series they played before they came home for their first home series, and that was against Utah Valley at the beginning of the month. Foul ball that actually goes off of Landis, the catcher. Scott will start out 0-1. Corner infielders about even with their bag as Scott fouls off the second pitch he sees across the street to our right. The 0-2 for the sophomore from Grant High School here in Portland. On the season, Scott is batting .268 as he's playing in his 16th game, 14th start. He's got 11 hits and 8 RBIs. This one high, almost airmails it, but Landis gets out of his crouch to save it. 1-2 now. The 1-2. Breaking ball turned down the third baseline, and they're going to say foul ball. Pataxel was trying to come in and score with only 1 out. Instead, I think the Pilots catch a break right there as that one went foul. So Scott will get another chance here at the plate. Reset on Scott, and he gets himself a ball after that high fastball from Telfer. And it'll be a 2-2 count. Pataxel at third. Mensch is at second. No movement from the infield from the Waves. Here's the 2-2. Fouled off and out of play. Scott trying to cut into the lead for the Waves. Base hit brings in 1, if not 2. Mensch runs really well. Fly ball into center field. Bradshaw has a beat on it, and he'll make the catch. Turning his back to the field, tagging up and scoring is going to be Pataxel. Mensch will move over to third. And an RBI sac fly for Spencer Scott brings in the Pilots' first run, and they cut into the lead. It's 2-1. Well, he really put a drive into this one. It took Bradshaw all the way just in front of the warning track, and that allowed both base runners to move up. And now there's 2 outs as Jake Holcroft, who singled his last time up, has a chance to bring in another run. An always dangerous hitter at the plate. Breaking ball in the dirt. Landis just got enough of his glove on it to keep it in front of him. It'll be 1-0 to start off Holcroft. Holcroft puts this one into right field, and we've got ourselves a tie ball game. An RBI single makes it 2-2. Holcroft nothing but consistent at the plate. turns on an inside pitch and puts it into right field. And it's 2-2 now in the bottom of the second inning as Jake Sukata comes to the plate. So the first two batters that reach scored, and Holcroft is going to be thrown out at second. Sukata never had a chance at the plate to move him over, and that will end the second inning, but not before Holcroft ties us up at 2 apiece as we head to the third inning. Middle of the order, Johnson, Messino, and Bassir for the Waves on the WCC Network. Welcome back to Joe Edsel Field. 2-2 ball game as the Pilots just tied it up in the bottom of the second inning as Ryan Johnson leads things off for the Waves. Johnson had an RBI double back in the first inning that opened up the scoring for the Waves. Senior from Tempe, Arizona, dealing with a 1-0 count, make it 2-0 as that ball stays high on Gartrell above the letters of Johnson. His 17 RBI on the season leads the Waves. So he gets called for a strike right there. Johnson was WCC Player of the Week back in early March. Here's the 2-1. Takes ball 3 to make it 3-1. That March 6th week, he hit .571 with 11 RBI. While posting back-to-back games of 2 home runs and 5 RBI. Here he gets himself on with a walk. So the leadoff man is aboard. And that'll bring up Charles Mancino, who got left stranded over at third his last time up, but he had an RBI single back in the first. That drove in Ryan Johnson. Gartrell really trying to paint the outside parts of the plate right now as he misses low and away to start off this at-bat to Messino. Foul into the netting behind us. You see right there, to our left. Runners going, and bat was lost. Actually, it's not lost, it broke on Messino. So Messino's going to have to get a new bat. The runner and Johnson's going to go back to first. So there was a hit and run on, and that bat just snapped right at the end of the handle. Interesting right there. You do not see that very often as the bat broke at the end of the handle, connecting it to the barrel. And of all the games that I've been able to call, that's only happened 2, maybe 3 times. As Messino gets a new bat, And a throw over to first to keep an eye on Johnson as Messino has a 1-2 count. Low throw, Messino telling Johnson to stay put. Messino taking another ball inside. Runners going. Here's a flare out in a shallow right field. Mensch making a play on it, and he makes a diving stop in right. Comes up throwing towards first. Talia will take it, and the Waves are doubled up. Fantastic play by Mensch to make that diving stop, and doubles up Johnson over at first. Just your normal 9-3 double play. And that'll bring up Jack Bassier, freshman, 0 for 1 today. Bassier struck out his first time up. As we take another look at that defensive effort from Henry Mensch, looked like it was going to drop initially, and Johnson made the base running mistake of getting all the way to second instead of stopping at about halfway, 3/4 of the way. Scavato charging from third, hops it over to Talia, and they get Bassier. Two terrific defensive plays by the Pilots and the top of the third inning. We head to the bottom of the third, coming to the plate at Tsukada, Talia, and Knight for the Pilots on the WCC Network. Bottom of the third inning as you hear some of the fans get into it for Jake Tsukada, who steps to the plate. Was at the plate to end the bottom of the second inning when Jake Holcroft got thrown out at second. So he will start off the bottom of the third. Tsukada singled his last time up as he takes ball 2. Was left stranded over at second. Tsukada puts this one into the gap in right center field. This is a 2-bagger at least. Tsukada rounds first. The right fielder Shane just gets to it. Tsukada's heading towards third. The throw from Johnson gets away from the third baseman Melhoff, and Tsukada's safe. Leadoff triple. Another look. You left that one belt high right in the sweet spot for Tsukada, and he roped one into right center field for a triple to start off the bottom of the third for Zach Talia, who now comes to the plate. Talia lays off the first pitch, but called a strike. Tsukada 90 feet away from giving the Pilots the lead The 0-1 to Talia. Breaking ball. Makes him miss again. It'll be 0-2. These two teams have split the last 10 matchups, 5 wins apiece. Talia puts one into center field. Bradshaw is getting underneath it. Sukata tags up from third. Bradshaw throws home, and it'll be cut off by Oriana, the first baseman, and the Pilots take a 3-2 lead after the sacrifice fly. Briley Knight will come to the plate now with the bases empty and a 1-run lead for the Pilots. Things have quickly changed momentum-wise. Looked like this could be a day for the Waves to really run away with it with 2 runs early in the first inning, but give credit to Joey Gartrell responding in the second inning and in the third, giving up just a single hit and no runs during that time. And the Pilots bat turning things around in the bottom half of the second with 2 runs, and now that 1 run. Knight squares to bunt, pulls it back for a ball. That'll make it 2-1. Not a bad idea to bunt. I know he's your 4-hitter, but you've got a lefty on the mound and your third baseman who's now playing in front of the bag at third, but before Knight squared to bunt, he was playing 5 to 10 feet behind the bag at third as Knight deals with a 3-1 count. Knight pops this one up, but it'll go out of play to our left. Full count now. Inside, that Knight just got enough on his bat. So we'll go back to the 3-2. Pilots took the series back in 2021. They took 2 of 3 here at Joe Edsel Field, but then dropped 2 of 3 in Malibu as Knight sends one off the end of his bat and out of play to our left. So we'll go back to the full count, 3-2. Knight will put this into center field, and Bradshaw will let it bounce in front of him. And a 1-out single for Briley Knight. Smart play by Bradford. We've seen too many times where the outfielder tries to make a diving stop and with no protection behind him can end up at the back of the wall, but Bradshaw allowing that one to drop right in front of him. And that limits where Briley Knight can go as he'll take the single in this at-bat as Nick Klemp comes to the plate. First pitch, breaking ball, strike on the catcher. It'll be 0-1. Knight with a decent lead over at first. Telfer not liking it. As Klemp gets ready from the batter's box again. Pilots want to add on after just taking the lead here in the bottom of the third. Breaking ball hit over to third, taken in by Melhoff. The throw over to second in time. The relay throw, though, is not. So Klemp will reach base on a fielder's choice. No hit right there. Knight will be out. And that'll bring up Ben Pataxel, who's 1 for 1 today, with a single back in the second when he came around to score thanks to the sacrifice fly by Spencer Scott. Pataxel coming into today was the lone Pilot, hitting below 250 at 200 on the season. Breaking ball at the knees for a strike. 0-1 to start him off. Pataxel's had some unfortunate luck this season. He has been hit 10 times already by pitches, which leads the West Coast Conference. Almost made it 11 right there on the inside fastball from Telfer. He actually got hit twice in a single game against Niagara. That was back in game 1 of that series. Landis, good job of gloving that one to keep Klemp over at first. In that first game against Niagara, the Pilots got hit 7 times, which set a new program record. The previous high was 6, which was set back in 2014 against Oregon. The 2-1. Pataxel puts one into left field. Back-to-back singles. And now there's 2 aboard as Pataxel gets his second hit. Klemp moves over to second. Inside pitch that Pataxel is able to turn on. And it brings Henry Mensch to the plate. He walked last time, but he hit 400 in the series against Niagara. In fact, through the first 3 games, he was hitting 600, going 6 for 10. Cooled off a little bit in the finale on Tuesday, going 0 for 4. Bringing him down to that 400 average. Mensch was looking to put a drive into that last one, but can't make a connection. It'll be 1-1 after the strike. Mensch only had 1 RBI heading into that game against Niagara, in which he had 4 hits and 4 RBI. Now has 5 RBI on the season. He can make it 6 with a base hit. Instead, he takes a ball inside near the shins. 2-1. Mensch lays off a fastball near the ankles. 3-1 now, on the verge of getting himself on via the walk again. Looked awfully close, but Mensch gets on with a walk. And now the bases are loaded. Mensch will be at first, Pataxel's at second. Klemp moves over to third as Evan Scavato comes to the plate. No official at bat as he laid down a sacrifice bunt back in the second inning. That move Mensch and Pataxel both in the scoring position, and allowing the first 2 runs to score thanks to a sacrifice fly and an RBI single by Jake Holcroft. Scavato hitting .261 on the year as he makes his 15th start. 12 hits, 15 RBI. Good eye right there. Lays off the off-speed, high, 1-0. Delivers a strike on the far side of the plate about knee high. Pilots want to win a series like this. They have to come through with a timely hit with the bases loaded in a position like this. The 1-1. Breaking ball that dropped right out of the zone. And they're saying Scavato went around. I don't know. That one was awfully close. And from up here, it didn't look like he went around, but the home plate umpire says otherwise. And now he's behind 1-2. The 1-2, 2 outs, bases loaded, breaking ball that breaks into the right-handed batter's box near the feet of Scavato. 2-2. Give credit to the Portland hitters. They're patient. They're not going to chase just anything, especially in a moment like this. 2 strikes, 2 outs, and the bases loaded. Scavato went for the high fastball, and that'll strand the bases loaded. And 1 run comes in to score, though. The Pilots take a 3-2 lead as we head to the 4th. Melhoff, Landis, and Oriana come to the plate for the Waves when we return on the WCC Network. Welcome back to a cloudy Joe Edsel Field here in Portland, Oregon, as the Pilots have taken a 3-2 lead. Brian Slyke on the call. Leading off for the Waves. It'll actually be... No, it is Melhoff. Looked like Landis for second. Melhoff wearing a different uniform than his normal number today. We'll see that a couple of times, I'm sure, throughout this series. As Melhoff lays off the inside pitch, it'll even the count at 1-1. Melhoff singled off of Gartrell back in the first inning, but was left stranded on base. This time he hits a ground ball on the right side. Pataxo playing in shallow right field. Takes the ground ball and throws him out, and that'll be the first out to start off the fourth inning. Quinn Landis now comes to the plate. Senior from Oaks Christian High School in Westlake Village, California. Before this season, appeared in 61 games and had hit .245. This one bounces into Klemp. It'll be 1-0. Landis comes from a baseball background. His father, Kip, played baseball at Pepperdine. As he swings through that off speed from Gartrell, 1-1. Later pitched 4 seasons in the Minnesota Twins organization before hanging it up. Landis chasing what looked to be another slider. It'll be 1-2. Landis is 0 for 1 today. He struck out to end the first inning, which stranded runners on the corners. The 1-2. Fastball high and away will even the count at 2-2. Landis batting .241, only playing in his 10th. Well, his 10th start, his 11th appearance on the season. Gets jammed inside. Sends a chopper over to the dugout for Portland. Will reset with a 2-2 count. Not much movement from the defense for the Pilots. Here's the 2-2. Landis, ground ball, and past the diving Evan Scavato down the left field line. Landis rounds first. He's going to head towards second. Knight gets to it in the corner near the foul pole. Comes up throwing towards third to Scavato. And a one-out double for Quint Landis. It's hard to see down in the corner near the Andy Pianovi hitting facility. It looked like Knight had a hard time playing it. As Lincoln Oriana comes to the plate. Modified movement for the Pilots as Pataxel's in shallow right field. Talia, the first baseman, playing about 10 feet behind the bag right now. First pitch. Pops out of the glove of Klemp. Called a ball, 1-0. The 1-0. Backdoor breaking ball finds its way into the zone as it paints the black on the far side from the left-handed bat, 1-1. Oriana ground ball into shallow right field over to Ben Pataxel, and he throws him out over at first. So 2 away as Landis moves over to third with the ground ball hit to the right side, and that'll bring up Connor Bradshaw for his second at-bat. See Landis right there, 90 feet away. He represents the tying run. Bradshaw 0 for 1 today. Flew out to Briley Knight in his only at-bat in the second inning. Scavato playing in at third. The rest of the infield playing back as this ball hit down the first baseline and foul. It's Colt Brewer, the first base coach, picks that one up. Here's the 0-1. Fastball blown by Bradshaw. He nods. He knows what he just saw. Okay. And with Gartrell ahead in the count, 0-2. Can mix it up with whatever pitch he wants. The off speed or the breaking ball. Puts a breaking ball in the dirt. That's blocked by Klemp. That'll make it 1-2. Trying to get Bradshaw to chase away. Bradshaw gets even in the count now after starting out 0-2. It's now 2-2. The closed off stance from the left side by Bradshaw. Pataxel again in shallow right field at second, and this one roped foul. It would have hooked around the bag and away from the glove of Tulia, but in front of the first base umpire. And he saw that one go foul, and that not too far away from being a fair ball, if not an RBI double. So we'll reset with the 2-2 and 2 outs and the runner over at third. Outfield playing deep. Except for Knight out in the left. He's playing a bit in. Strike 3 on Bradshaw. He doesn't agree with the call. Gartrell strands Landis over at third. And the Pilots hold on to their 3-2 lead as we head to the bottom of the 4th inning. Spencer Scott will lead us off, followed by Jake Holcroft and Jake Sukata when we return on the WCC Network. Bottom of the 4th inning. Pilots leading 3-2. Brian Slyke on the call. Spencer Scott will lead off the Pilots. Deals with the first pitch breaking ball that never broke as it stayed in the left-handed batter's box. 1-0 to start off Scott as Shane Telfer is on the mound for a 4th inning of work. There he delivers a strike to even the count at 1-1. Telfer started out commanding the zone, getting the Pilots out early as Scott fouls this one off down the third base line in front of Coach Loomis as it goes all the way down into the bullpen for Portland and back into the field of play. Strike for Scott, 1-2. Unfortunately for him, though, leadoff single and a walk in the 2nd inning did not set him up for success with a sacrifice bunt and a sacrifice fly that brought in the first run. And then Jake Holcroft had an RBI single to tie the game up. As Holcroft has had Telfer's number. He's 2 for 2 so far. As Scott now with a 2-2 count. Fights off a pitch that was away, sends it foul. And into the trees and car area to our right, just outside the stadium. So back to the 2-2. Strike 3. Scott not happy with the call. A couple words for the umpire, trying to get an explanation on where that one was, but he goes down with a backwards K. And the first out here in the bottom of the 4th as Jake Holcroft now comes to the plate. First pitch he sees in his 3rd at-bat is a breaking ball inside off the plate, 1-0. Tough to tell from that angle. Looked like it was off the plate, but called a strike on Holcroft. He's quickly ready to go with that slightly closed off stance, the 1-1. Holcroft thought it was fastball, but the breaking ball ends up in the dirt, blocked by Landis. 2-1. Right side of the infield playing back. Holcroft lays off another one that was awfully close. Makes it 3-1. As you can see, some blue skies still out there. Holcroft swings through one. Full count now, 3-2. Full count. Holcroft goes down with a strikeout. Back-to-back Ks for Telfer on the mound. And Holcroft has been a slight thorn in the side of Telfer as he finally gets him out for the first time today. And that'll bring up Jake Sukata. And Sukata's 2 for 2, though. Can't sleep on him. The man from Hawaii takes first pitch breaking ball for a ball, 1-0. Sukata singled in the first and then tripled to open up the third, and he was the go-ahead run as he fouls off an inside pitch into the netting, 1-1. Sukata hitting .333 coming into today with 17 hits. Had 2 doubles, now he has a triple. 1-2 now on Sukata. Sukata fouls off that one to stay alive. We'll reset to the 1-2. Sukata gets one off the end of the bat. Telfer fields it himself in the glove, and he steps on the bag at first. He'll take care of it all on his own. 1 unassisted in the scorebook. 3 up and 3 down for the Pilots in the 4th. We head to the 5th. It's the top of the lineup. Shane, Peck, and Johnson all due up on the WCC Network. Top of the 5th inning here at Joe Etzel Field on the campus of the University of Portland as Grant Shane continues his day at the plate. He now has 3 hits as he leads off the 5th inning with a single. And the young man cannot be stopped. The senior from Clackamas, Oregon, pulls through again with his 3rd hit of the day. He had 2 hits coming in. He was 2 for 6 on the season. Now he's 3 for 3 today as John Peck comes to the plate. He's 0 for 2. Had a ground out to Evan Scavato back in the 1st, and then he flew out to Jake Holcroft to center field back in the 2nd. Peck is batting .203 on the season with 12 hits. 7 RBI. 3 of those RBI come via the long ball, though, off of his bat. Looks like Pataxa will cover the bag if the runner goes. Peck takes strike 1 on the ball that breaks inside. 1-1. Gartrell over to first. The runner's back safely. Peck not bothered by the chirping fans behind the plate. Takes ball 2. It's 2-1. Ground ball up the middle and gloved by Pataxel. Comes up throwing towards first, and he got him over at first. Pataxel flashing the leather. Prevents another base runner from getting on. Shane moves up to second, but give it up to Pataxel. Another look. Ends up on the shortstop side of second base and still throws out Peck. Heck of a play by the second baseman. As Ryan Johnson comes to the plate, he's 1 for 1 today with an RBI double and a walk. Gartrell off speed, first pitch, first strike, makes it 0-1. Now we've seen Pataxel make quite a few plays over at third. This year he's playing a bit of second base. And he's picking up right where he left off on the hot corner. Gartrell looks back at the runner, comes home. Johnson takes ball 1 as the fastball went off the plate about knee high, 1-1. Left side of the infield playing back. Johnson takes strike 2. Bit of a delayed call from the home plate umpire, but now Gartrell in the driver's seat. Shane takes his lead off at second. Missing inside and low. That'll even the count at 2-2 on Johnson. Johnson, the best hitter on this team, hitting .426. Now with 5 doubles and 17 RBI. The 2-2. Johnson strikes out. Love the composure I'm seeing right now from Gartrell on the mound. Sometimes you'll see pitchers focus too much on the runner at second, especially when he represents the tying run. But Gartrell challenging Johnson right there. Johnson goes down on strikes, and now there's 2 away, and the runner still at second. That's Charles Messino, who's 1 for 2 today. Sends a fly ball down the left field line that'll go out of play past the bullpen for the Pilots. So 0-1 on Messino. Messino had an RBI single in the first where he got left stranded over at third. That scored the second of the 2 runs in the first inning for the Waves, and then he grounded out to a double play. Well, I shouldn't say he grounded out. He flew out into a double play to Henry Mensch in right field, who made a diving stop that came up and threw out Ryan Johnson at first. Fly ball into left field. Knight has a beat on it, and he'll make the catch in front of the warning track. And the Waves strand a runner over at second base after the leadoff single from Shane. We head to the bottom of the 5th inning. Coming to the plate, Talia, Knight, and Klemp for the Pilots on the WCC Network. Zach Talia set to lead things off for the Pilots in the bottom of the 5th as he comes up empty on the first pitch swinging. It'll be 0-1. Telfer's given up 7 hits, 3 earned runs through 4 innings so far. Landis can't glove that one. That'll even the count at 1-1 for Talia. The open stance, batting from the right side. The 1-1 delivery. Fouled off of Landis. And now the home plate umpire going to give him a minute. Call time, give the ball to Telfer. Right off what looked to be the forehead. I don't know if Landis is shaken up or if something broke off of his mask that he has to go over to his dugout. Actually, I think the bit of shade or almost glass-like on the top of his mask popped out. So he's okay. We'll go to the 1-2 as Talia steps back into the box. Breaking ball put into left field by Talia. And he now has himself an 8-game hit streak. So he now has a single and an RBI as he sacrifice flied Jake Sukata in back in the 3rd inning as Briley Knight now comes to the plate. Knight is 1 for 2, singled in the 3rd. He was out on a fielder's choice later on, and then he also grounded out to the first baseman, Oriana, back in the 1st inning. Here he takes a breaking ball that ends up in the right-handed batter's box for a ball, 1-0. Knight had 9 home runs last season. That led the Pilots. Looking for his first here at Joe Etzel Field as he puts a drive into one that'll go out of play to our right and into that area that Corey always says is 90% air, and that's the parked cars to our right. Knight with only 1 home run so far on the season, with 15 RBIs. A breaking ball drops in at the belt. 1-2 now on Knight. Knight chases one that's in the dirt. And with a man on first, that's a strikeout. No chance for him to advance. And that'll bring up Nick Klemp, who's looking for his first hit today. Strikeout and fielder's choice so far. Klemp has 1 hit in the last 3 games after starting out hot this season. Somewhat cooled off, still keeping his average high as he came into today with a .422 average, but 0 for 2 today so far. Breaking ball inside. I think he was looking for a fastball, instead got dealt that. He'll start out this count 1-0. Another one inside on Klemp, 2-0. Telfer throws 2-0. Klemp went after the inside fastball, 2-1. Klemp fouls this one off, and I think it got the umpire right there. Took a stutter step back. Actually, I don't know if it went off the umpire. That one actually might have gone off of Landis again behind home plate. That would be the 2nd time in this inning. Always have to keep an eye on those players. Just a 2-2. Klemp breaking ball, half-hearted swing over to short, charging it is Peck. The throw over to first is in time to get Klemp. Talia moves up to second. That was the only play that Peck could make. So that'll go down 6-3 in the scorebook as Ben Pataxel comes to the plate. Originally, I thought Klemp maybe wanted a fastball there, got fooled by the breaking ball, but still got enough on it to at least move Talia up to second on the slow chopper to short. Johnson creeping in at second. The pitch home to Pataxel, hit into left field. Messino ranging to his left will make the catch, and the Pilots strand one after the leadoff single by Talia, and then 3 straight outs as we head to the 6th inning. Bassier, Melhoff, and Landis come to the plate for the Waves on the WCC Network. Welcome back to Joe Edsel Field, and we have a change as Jack Goodman will now be hitting in the place of Jack Bassier as the DH. Bassier today went 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a ground out to Evan Scavato over at third. Goodman takes the first pitch from Gartrell for a strike, starts him out 0-1. Goodman, a freshman from Medfield, Massachusetts, went to Medfield High School. Empty on that swing, 0-2. Goodman, a part of this high-ranking freshman class for the Waves. He was actually a 15th round draft pick by the Texas Rangers last year, pick number 439. And he goes down on 3 consecutive pitches as Gartrell gets another strikeout. That's his 6th strikeout on the day, and that'll bring up Greg Melhoff. Melhoff making his homecoming, the former Mount Hood Conference Player of the Year from Clackamas High School. On the day, Melhoff is 1 for 2, singled in the first, ground out to second back in the 4th. Pataxel playing in shallow right field as Melhoff fouls this one off to the backstop, 1-1. Scavato off the line. Scott closing in on the bag at second. Klemp can't fold that into the zone for a strike. It'll be 2-1. Popped up on the infield. Scott will be the first one to call off everybody as it's really up there, and he's able to corral it in. And 2 away after the pop-up on the infield. And we saw a couple of players for Niagara struggle with those high pop-ups in the series that we just had. So had 2 different plays that seemed like routine pop-ups on the infield that were dropped by the third baseman and the catcher. as Quint Landis starts off with the strike, and you're happy to see Landis in the batter's box. Not that we were too concerned, but he took 2 different foul balls off the face mask during that last half inning. The 0-1 from Gartrell. Landis check swing, no call from the home plate umpire, and no appeal down to first. It'll be 1-1. Infield playing back, the 1-1. Landis. All air on that swing, 1-2. Gartrell looking for his 7th strikeout. Landis puts a drive into one into center field. Holcroft is still dropping back, and he makes the catch over his right shoulder. Gartrell goes 1-2-3 here in the 6th. As we head to the bottom of the 6th inning, coming to the plate for the Pilots, it's the bottom of the order. Mensch, Scavato, and Scott on the WCC Network. Bottom of the 6th inning. Shane Telfer out for his 6th inning of work. As Henry Mensch leads things off for the Pilots, takes an inside fastball just below the knees. And off the plate, it'll be 1-0 to start off this at-bat. Mensch does not have an official at-bat. He's got 2 walks today as he takes ball 2. As it looks like he may be on his way to his 3rd walk of the night. Not meant to be as he pops this one up, and some of the Waves are having trouble tracking this one as it went above the lights, and it's going to drop in center field. Mensch, who was running the whole way, ends up at second, and that'll be a leadoff double. And the Waves never had a beat on it. It went high above the lights, and it is difficult to play it here once it gets above the lights as they are pointing down at you. And that's exactly what happened. Bradshaw never saw it. The shortstop, Peck, turned his back to the field and thought Bradshaw might be getting to it, but both of them put their hands up, and Mensch ends up at second with a leadoff double. Strange things happening here on the Bluff on those pop-ups. It's now the 3rd time we've seen that in the last 3 games. Squaring to bunt is Scavato, pulls it back on the breaking ball that was delivered for a strike, 0-1. The 0-1, squaring to bunt again, it's Scavato. Pulls it back as the fastball ended up near the ankles on the inside part of the play. 1-1. Oriana, the first baseman, even with the bag, almost on the infield grass. Meanwhile, the third baseman, Melhoff. Toes are on the infield grass over at third. Scavato tried to lay down the bunt, but he missed it. That'll be called for strike 2. Very rare. You see no connection on the bunt from one of those Pilot players at the plate. They work on it every day during pregame. No doubt, the Scavato wishing he could have that one back as he just missed that fastball. Here's the 1-2, breaking ball. Blown away, almost in the dirt, left by Landis. 2-2. Pilots looking for some insurance. Base hit here, might do that with Mensch on second. Ground ball to the right side, moves him over to third. In the dirt, Landis blocks it, keeps it in front of him. Mensch will stay put at second, and now a full count on Scavato. Scavato steps back into the box, full count. Strike three. It was going to be close inside. Seen it called a couple of times already today, and he'll go down looking for the second time. As Spencer Scott will come to the plate. He's 0 for 1 today, but had a sacrifice fly that scored the first run for the Pilots that brought in Ben Pataxel from third. Otherwise, he struck out looking back in the fourth on a similar pitch we just saw to Evan Scavato. Breaking ball falls in the zone at the belt inside on Scott, 0-1. Here's the 0-1, breaking ball inside this time on Scott. Ended up in the right-handed batter's box inside that white. 1-1. Infield retreat, Scott pops it up behind the plate. Hear the fans as it goes on top of us on the building behind home plate. And 1-2 on Scott. A lot more fans here today. Actually had to be concerned about where that one was going to fall, as we've seen some of the nicest weather we've had here in the Northwest in quite a while. We've dealt with a lot of rain since the home season started for the Pilots. I believe this is only the second game where we haven't dealt with rain. Here's the 1-2 to Scott. Breaking ball. Thought about it at first. You could see the hesitation. Lays off of it for ball 2-2. No movement from the outfield. Bradshaw, the center fielder, did take a few steps in as Scott fouls off another one to stay alive at 2-2. Holcroft is on deck. He's got 2 hits. He's 2 for 3. He'll be up unless there's some unforeseen double play that happens with Mensch over at second. The 2-2 from Telfer. High fastball above the letters, makes it a full count, 3-2. Scott was hitting .268 coming into this game. Drives one into center field. Bradshaw coming in from his position. He'll make the catch. And that'll be the second out. Looked like it was hit harder off the bat. But now we go back to the top of the lineup to Jake Holcroft. Again, 2 for 3 today, 2 singles. Had an RBI in the second. His last time up, though, he went down swinging back in the fourth. Pilots looking for that insurance run right now as they still only lead by 1, 3-2. The breaking ball is inside and high, 1-0. Holcroft now chasing. Oh, it looked like a curveball away. Holcroft again, not chasing. This time it's blown away. It's now 3-0. Most likely have the take sign on. Sukata's on deck. He too has 2 hits today. Ball 4 to Holcroft. 4 straight balls by Telfer. Adds a second base runner. Now there's runners on first and second for Jake Sukata. Single in the first, had a triple to open up the third, where he later came around to score thanks to a sacrifice fly by Zach Talia. His last time up, though, give credit to Shane Telfer. Came off the mound, fielded the ball down the first baseline, and in one swoop grabbed the ball in his glove and stepped on the bag at first to get Sukata and to end that 4th inning. Infield playing back with Sukata at the plate. As that pitch went out of the zone last second. 1-0 to start off Sukata. Six straight balls now from Telfer. And he's well over 100 pitches on the evening. He's at 115. And no doubt this will be his last inning of work. The 2-0. Finally gets the strike called. Make it 2-1 on Sukata. Now with 2 outs. Got jammed inside, and a soft flare over to second, taken in by Ryan Johnson, and that will strand the 2 runners on as we head to the 7th inning. Due up for the Waves, Oriana, Bradshaw, and Shane when we come back on the WCC Network. Joey Gartrell out for a 7th inning of work as he faces off against Lincoln Oriana. Oriana already today is 0 for 2, a strikeout and a ground out to Ben Pataxel over at second, as Gartrell delivers two balls, I should say, on breaking pitches. It's 2-0. Delivers a fastball for a strike, about belt high inside part of the plate. 2-1. If Gartrell can get an out here, he will set a new career high in innings pitched in a single outing. 6 is his current long. The 3-1. Oriana called for strike 2. Too quickly threw that bat. Thought it was ball 4. And now Gartrell has a chance to get his 7th strikeout, already with a career-high 6 tonight. Previous career-high was 5 that he had set last season. Here's the 3-2. Oriana fouls it off just enough to stay alive. We'll go back to the full count. Gartrell over 100 pitches as well. He's at 105. Wasn't sure we were going to see him in this inning. Oriana pops up. Klemp and Scavato chasing. Scavato in front of his own dugout and can't make the catch in foul territory again. One of those difficult pop-ups that got up near the lights. So Oriana gets another chance, and you just hope that that doesn't come back and hurt the Pilots. As again, they're only leading by 1, 3-2. No team has scored since the 3rd inning. The Waves scored 2 runs in the top of the 1st. Pilots responded with 2 in the bottom of the 2nd, took the lead in the bottom of the 3rd, and since then it's been goose eggs up on the scoreboard. 3-2. Oriana, line drive, and past the diving glove of Spencer Scott into center field, and a leadoff single for Oriana. He gets his 7th hit on the season. Connor Bradshaw steps to the plate. He too is 0 for 2 on the day. A fly out to Briley Knight, and then he struck out looking his last time up, and that came in the 4th inning. Scavato playing in at 3rd. He's on the infield grass. Squaring to bunt, it's Bradshaw, fielded by Gartrell. Comes up, throwing towards 2nd, and no, goes off the glove of Spencer Scott, and nobody is going to be out. All runners are safe. And this is the trouble you did not want to get into here in the 7th inning. You've got 2 on, nobody out, and now you've got Grant Shane coming to the plate, who's a blistering 3 for 3. Gartrell thought he could get the runner at 2nd. In fact, he could have had that throw not gone high on Spencer Scott. And they'll mark that one down as an error. Klemp now in front of home plate, giving out the signals. Scavato playing in at 3rd. Talia in front of the runner. Bradshaw over at 1st. Shane squares to bunt, fouls it to the backstop. He'll start out 0-1. And now you see what the Waves are trying to do. You start to play small ball here late in this game. You've got 2 runners on, no outs. If you get a bunt down here, you have a chance to get both runners in scoring position. For the preseason WCC Player of the Year and John Peck, who's still looking for his first hit. Shane squares to bunt. They peeled down to 3rd, and that was awfully close. They're going to call it a ball. And it's 1-1. Scavato. Again, in on the infield grass along with Talia over at 1st. So the corner infielders playing in. Shane squares to bunt, puts it out in front of the plate, fielded by Gartrell, comes up throwing towards 1st to Pataxel, and they'll get Shane out on the sacrifice bunt. But now both runners are in scoring position. Bradshaw up to 2nd, moving over to 3rd is Oriana. So the sacrifice bunt works, and John Peck now comes to the plate. He's 0 for 3. If Gartrell could get him out without giving up a run, that would be huge. And now we're going to have a mound visit. Coach Valentine, or excuse me, not Coach Valentine, Coach Lambert is going to go to the mound. And I think Gartrell's day is going to be done. They're making a pitching change. So we'll be right back on the WCC Network as the Pilots hold on to their 3-2 lead. 2 runners on, only 1 out. We'll be right back. Pitching change, it's Caden Siegel on the mound. Siegel making his third appearance on the year, has a 1-0 record through 4 innings of work as he delivers a first pitch strike to Peck. It'll be 0-1. Through 4 innings of work, he's given up 2 hits, no earned runs, 5 strikeouts, only 1 walk. Opponents are batting .167 against him in his 2 previous outings. The 0-1. Siegel puts one almost in the dirt as it's gloved by Klemp to even the count at 1-1 on Peck. Peck started out at 203 on the day, now batting 194 after going 0 for 3 with 2 ground outs and a flyout. But he's got runners on second and third. Base hit scores 1, if not 2, to give the Waves the lead. Ground ball over to short. Fielded by Spencer Scott, looks back the runner at second, and his throw gets away from Talia. 1 run comes in to score for the Waves already. Bradshaw moves over to third, and staying put over at first is Peck. And Scott waited just a hair too long to throw that ball over to first. And he threw it low. Talia couldn't handle it, and now we've got ourselves a tie ball game, 3 apiece, and runners on the corners. That should go down as an error. And so runners on the corners, 1 out. As Ryan Johnson at the plate, he's 1 for 2. An RBI double and a run scored. He walked in the third and then he struck out. His last time up, here he takes a first pitch strike, 0-1. Siegel shaking off. Breaking ball off the end of the bat of Johnson, down the third baseline, and they're going to let that one go foul. Smart play by Siegel to not try to pick that one up in fair territory. Second strike now on Johnson. Waves right now are in the middle of a 3-game losing streak. They're trying to end that skid right now, get the first win in the conference season. Meanwhile, the Pilots have not dropped a series yet this season. They've won 3 out of 4. The one they did not win, they split with Utah Valley, 2 games apiece. Can't split conference series, only 3 games. Johnson sends one into center field. Holcroft will make the catch. Tagging is Bradshaw from third, and the Waves take a 1-run lead, 4-3. Sac fly works out for Johnson as he gets his second RBI of the day. Staying over at first is Peck. And with Bradshaw scoring, it's now 4-3. Throw over to first, runners back safely. Two outs, runner on first, and now a 4-3 lead for the Waves as Charles Messino takes a strike after that last pitch from Siegel. We'll start out 0-1. So now that those runners are now off the base path for Gartrell, I can give you his official stat line. After this next throw over to first. Peck is back safely. Gartrell's day, he went 6 1/3, which is his longest outing of his career on 109 pitches. Gave up 9 hits, 4 runs, 3 of those were earned. 6 strikeouts, which is a new career high as well, with 1 walk. The 0-1. Peck is going for second. Klemp throws. Scott covering the bag. Throw went into his glove, and they got Peck out. The throw from Klemp, the tag by Scott. They get him, and that'll end the Waves' threat here in the 7th. They score 2. They retake the lead 4-3. Coming to the plate for the Pilots when we return to Leah, Knight, and Klemp on the WCC Network.
baseman.
Welcome back to Joe Edsel Field. Brian Slyke on the call. Bottom of the 7th inning as Bobby Christie is the new arm on the mound for the Waves. Christie's making his 6th appearance on the season. So he has a 1-0 record. First pitch breaking ball to Talia, high and inside for a ball to make it 1-0. Christie with a 6.17 ERA through 11 2/3 innings of work, 11 hits, 8 earned runs. Now he's had trouble with consistency, 7 walks to just 3 strikeouts as Talia takes strike 1 to even the count at 1-1. Christie, a big piece of the bullpen returning. He made 17 appearances last year, ending the season with a 3.50 ERA. So one of the first arms to come out of the bullpen. Two 1-2 Talia. Down the right field line and foul. It'll go just outside of the stadium over the right field grassy berm. 2-2. Telfer's day went through 6 innings of work on 118 pitches, 9 hits, 3 earned runs, 7 strikeouts to 3 walks. This one will bounce all the way to the backstop. Full count now, 3-2, and you have to think with the Waves up 4-3 right now. Pilots have left 8 on base and at 2 different times had prime opportunities to drive in a run. Talia sends another one foul down the right field line. Will reset with the full count 3-2. But they could not get that timely hit. Bases were loaded for Evan Scavato back in the 3rd. He struck out swinging. And then the Pilots had 2 on base in scoring position back in the 1st as Talia turns on 1 foul, this time down the 3rd baseline. Had runners on 2nd and 3rd in the 1st, and then you had 2 strikeouts and a ground out to negate that start. 2 runners left on in the 6th. One of them in scoring position, but again, the Pilots unable to get that timely hit. Talia again turns on 1 that was low, goes foul. And back to the 3-2. Pilots had 2 errors in that last half inning that allowed a couple of runs to come in and score. Full count again for Talia. The payoff pitch. And this one will end up in the gap in right center field. Talia has his 2nd hit. Takes an odd bounce off the wall. Talia will stop at 2nd and a leadoff double for Portland. Just what the Pilots needed after giving up the lead in the top of the 7th. Can they respond and win this inning and retake the lead? Talia took an outside pitch and just hit it where it was given to him into the right center field gap. Riley Knight now steps into the batter's box. He's 1 for 3 today with a single back in the 3rd. Otherwise, ground out to 1st and a strikeout the last time he came to the plate in the 5th. Corner infielders playing in about even with their bag. Shortstop Peck keeps an eye on Talia at 2nd. It's Christie missing outside away from the left-handed bat. 1-0 on Knight. Knight ropes one into right field. Talia held up at 3rd as Shane came up throwing from right field, and now you've got runners on the corners for Portland after the single from Knight. And you've got Nick Klemp coming to the plate. Now this is a tough spot to be in. You're late in the game right now. You've got 9 outs. You're trailing by 1. You could send Knight up to 2nd to try to get out of that double play opportunity as Landis gives the signals to the infield. But even if you hit into a double play, you might have an opportunity still to have Talia come in and score. And now Landis is going to go out and meet with Christie on the mound. Talk about how to approach Nick Klemp at the plate. Klemp reached base in the third, but that was thanks to a fielder's choice. He's 0 for 3 today. Strike out in the first, that fielder's choice in the third, and then he grounded out to John Peck, the shortstop, back in the 5th inning. After the mound visit, it looks like we're ready to get things going again. Pataxil's on deck. He's 2 for 3. Piles could really use that production as they get near the bottom of the lineup. Klemp thought about going after the slider that went away in low for the ball, 1-0. Closed stance. Chops this one into the dugout for Portland as a couple of Pilots get out of the way. No defensive changes for the Waves. Messino, Bradshaw, and Shane, the outfield. Melhoff, Peck, Johnson, and Oriana, the infield. Off the end of the bat, it's Klemp. And he'll be out as he was trying to go down to first. Ran into Landis, who had fielded that one, so Klemp is retired. And really, you don't get much out of that at bat, except Briley Knight moves up to second. And that is unfortunate for Portland. As Ben Pataxil steps to the plate again, 2 for 3 today. Single in the second where he came around to score as the first run for Portland on a sacrifice fly. Then he singled in the third, was left at second. And then he flew out to left field his last time up, and now we're going to have a mound visit. Not only that, the umpires are actually going to come together as well. And I think they're going to talk about that last play. If that was interference by Klemp, and by he, I mean Landis, couldn't make a play over at second to get Briley Knight. We'll see what they have to do, but we've got a pitching change for the Waves. Christie's day is done. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a moment with a new arm and some stats on the WCC Network. All right, so some changes here since we last left you. Jack Chester is now on the mound for the Waves. Chester with a 7.88 ERA, making his 7th appearance on the season, has an 0-1 record through 8 innings of work. He's given up 12 hits, 7 earned runs, 6 strikeouts, and 5 walks. Now, the other difference right now, if you look on the right side of your screen, purple base runner over at first as Pataxo puts a fly ball into right field. It's going to be caught by Grant Shane. Tagging up from third is Tolia, and he will come in and score. And the sacrifice fly ties this ball game up at 4 apiece here in the bottom of the 7th. Knight stays put over at first, but as I was saying before that ball was hit into play, Knight had to go back to first because of interference with Klemp and the catcher. As Klemp got it off the end of the bat, it didn't initially run out of the box, then realized it was a fair ball and ran into Landis. Landis looked like he wanted to make a play at second, but couldn't because he ran into Klemp, and so they called interference. Knight lost his base, had to go back to first, and that is why he is back over on that bag. 2 away and a 4-4 ball game. As this one gets away from Landis, he can't find it. Knight's going to go for third. He's trying to take 2 bases, and he's going to. Chester spiked it right in front of Landis, went over his head. He couldn't find it. Knight easily took second, realized that Landis still had no idea where the ball was. He never slowed down one bit, and he ends up over at third. All of that on a single wild pitch. And now if Mensch can get a base hit here, you can retake the lead 5-4. The 2-0. Mensch takes ball 3 inside. Mensch has 2 walks and a double today. His double was the one that got lost in the lights in shallow center field that Bradshaw could not make a play on. It was the shortest hit double at around 120 feet, just barely out into that outfield. Here's the 3-1. And time is going to be called by the home plate umpire, but that is ball 4 to Mensch, so he reaches base for a 4th time today, 3 times via the walk. And you've got Knight over at third, Mensch is over at first, and now I think you're going to have a pinch hitter. It was supposed to be Evan Scavato, but Scavato 0 for 2 today. Had a sacrifice bunt back in the 2nd inning. Strikeout swinging in the 3rd, a strikeout looking in the 6th. And it looks like Tristan Gomez is going to be the pinch hitter. We'll see how the defense moves around for Portland. I have a guess that you'll probably see Pataxel moved over to third. Sukata, who's technically DH, will probably move to second, and then we'll see what happens from there. All that strictly guessing. First pitch to Gomez. Gets it off the end of the bat for a strike, 0-1. Again, Gomez pinch hitting for Evan Scavato right here with runners on the corners. 2 outs. This is where the Pilots need that timely hit with Knight over at third. The 0-1. Grounded over to first. Oriano will field it himself, step on the bag, and that ends the threat for the Pilots, but not before they score 1 to tie us up at 4. Thanks to a sacrifice fly by Ben Pataxel. It's the middle of the order. Messino, Goodman, and Melhoff when we return on the WCC Network. Top of the 8th inning, tie ball game between the Pepperdine Waves and the Portland Pilots as Caden Siegel comes out for another inning of work of relief for Joey Gartrell. First pitch hit into shallow right field. Pataxel had it for a moment and it squirts away from him. Messino will reach base for the second time today. And we'll see if they mark that one down as a hit. They will, as they probably should. It was a difficult play for Pataxel. And we are going to have a pinch hitter, so Goodman's day is done. It's going to be number 13, Cole Sheehan, who now pinch hits.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. Now batting for the Waves, number 13, Cole Sheehan.
Sheehan on the season has played in 9 games. He's got 6 hits and 24 at-bats. He's batting .250 on the season with 1 RBI as Siegel throws over to first to keep an eye on the runner. Squaring to bunt, pulling it back. Melhoff is on deck. And strike called. It'll be 1-1. Throw over to first. Not quite sure what happened there for that strike to be called, but it'll be 1-1 on the batter. Breaking ball from Siegel. Slides in for a strike, 1-2 now. Sheehan, a sophomore from Phoenix, Arizona, went to Mountain Point High School. Fights off that one to stay alive. Sheehan, a sophomore, was on the All-WCC freshman team as he played in 32 games last year, playing at first and catching. And here he goes down with a strikeout. First one here in the 8th, and that'll keep the runner in Messino over at first as Melhoff will come to the plate now. He's 1 for 3. Melhoff singled in the first. That's his only hit. Otherwise, he grounded out to second back in the 4th, and then he popped out to Spencer Scott at short in the 6th inning. Siegel keeping an eye on the runner over at first in Messino. Messino 0 for 1 on stolen bases this year. Klemp can't fold that pitch in for a strike. It'll be 1-0. The 1-0. Squaring to bunt. Puts it down the third baseline. It goes foul, and Ty Saunders will touch it. Saunders is the defensive replacement, by the way, over at third for the Pilots. As Evan Scavato was pinch hit for, I thought you might see some musical chairs on that infield, but instead it's just going to be Ty Saunders that comes and plays the field for Portland over at third. Pataxel stays put at second. So it looks like Knight, Holcroft, and Mensch in the outfield. It's Saunders, Scott, Pataxel, and Tolia on your infield, and then Klemp still behind the plate. The 1-1. Popped up and behind us, out of play. Go back to the 1-2. The 1-2 with 1 out, runner on first. Siegel from the stretch comes home, high fastball, gets Melhoff to chase. And now there's 2 gone after back-to-back strikeouts. Quint Landis, the catcher for Pepperdine today, comes to the plate. He's 1 for 3 with a strikeout and a flyout. Another look at the pitch from Siegel. Just high cheese right there. Melhoff could match up with the bat. Landis' only hit today is a double that he had back in the 4th. He got left stranded at 3rd, thanks to the pitching of Joey Gartrell on the mound. First pitch to Landis this at-bat. Slider that stays high for a ball, 1-0. Landis, no chase on an elevated pitch again, 2-0. Celebrate a few birthdays today on St. Patrick's Day. Born on this date back in 1944 in San Antonio, Texas, is two-time World Series champion manager for the Blue Jays, Cito Gaston, as he celebrates his 39th birthday. The 2-0 pitch from Siegel, missing low and away for a ball, makes it 3-0. Danny Ainge celebrating his 64th birthday today, the Eugene, Oregon native. Played for 4 different teams in the NBA. Actually played baseball for the Toronto Blue Jays as well. He's also a coach in the basketball league. And also an executive now with the Utah Jazz as Landis takes a strike. Count now sits at 3-1. Throw over to first. Runner back safely is Messino. Back to the 3-1. The last notable birthday on this day, born in 1972, celebrating her 51st birthday, U.S. women's soccer international star Mia Hamm. She was born in Selma, Alabama. Landis gets underneath one, sends it into center field. Holcroft drops back in front of the warning track and makes the catch over his right shoulder, and that ends the Waves' threat here in the 8th. They strand one, no runs come in to score, and it remains a 4-4 ball game. Coming to the plate for the Pilots, Spencer Scott, Jake Holcroft, and Jake Sukata on the WCC Network. Welcome back to Joe Etzel Field. We've got a pitching change on the mound for the Waves. It's going to be Jack Baird, as he will be the 4th arm on the mound today for Pepperdine. First man he faces is actually going to be Christian Cooney, who's hitting in the place of Spencer Scott. Cooney saw limited action against Niagara as he was out of the game in the first game of that series. Here he smokes the ball into center field. Bradshaw turns his back to us, and it's going to go off the top of the wall. Cooney, pinch hit leadoff double to start the 8th inning. And Pilots, they now have a man in scoring position after a well-hit ball off the bat of Christian Cooney. Not that he wants to be in this position, but he is quickly becoming the man to come off the bench and deliver a big hit. He did it against Niagara in Game 4 of that series on Tuesday. Here he comes in as a pinch hitter and gets a leadoff double and already in scoring position for Jake Holcroft, who's reached base 3 times today. By the way, Baird is making his 6th appearance with a 1-0 record with a 3.48 ERA. Has 1 save through 10 in the 3rd innings of work as Holcroft fouls off the bunt attempt. He'll start out 0-1. Baird giving up 10 hits, make it 11 now after that Cooney double. 4 earned runs, 6 walks, 10 strikeouts. Opponents are hitting .244 against him. Christine Chester combined for 1 inning of work, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk. Each arm saw 3 batters. Holcroft fouls off the next pitch he sees, and now he's behind 0-2. See if he can hold off the strikeout here. Pilots just need 1 run across here to take the lead 5-4, and then it's down to the final 3 outs. But they have to get this run across first. Ryan Johnson, the second baseman, playing in shallow right field against Holcroft. Holcroft got a breaking ball that stayed high. He turns on it foul, 0-2. The 0-2 on Holcroft. Cooney, decent lead off the bag at second. Holcroft got ahead of it, pops it up. Landis giving chase. And doesn't toss his mask, and he lost it. Couldn't get to it. Second time we've seen that today, where play trying to be made in foul territory, and the player just missing it, and that'll give Holcroft another chance. We saw it happen to Lincoln Oriana, who fouled it off down the 3rd baseline. Scavato missed it as it got above the lights, and then Oriana turned that at-bat that should have been an out into a single, and he came around to score the tying run. So let's see if Holcroft can turn this into a positive for the Pilots. Holcroft fights off the low and away pitch. 0-2 again. Now Holcroft has been known to square up some baseballs and hit them right back up the middle, and the second baseman, Ryan Johnson, in shallow right field is actually pushing closer towards the line at first, so there's a big gap up the middle. The 0-2. Holcroft, and he hit it right where the second baseman's supposed to be. Cooney gets sent home. Bradshaw fields it in center. Holcroft will come up towards second as Bradshaw was fiddling with it in center field. An RBI single for Holcroft, and the Pilots take the lead. Johnson again playing too far to the right side. You see where he is on the right side of your screen. If he plays his normal position at second, he probably makes that play. Instead, it turns into an RBI single and a lead for the Portland Pilots here in the bottom of the 8th inning. And not only that, Holcroft moved up to second because Bradshaw could not get a clean handle of the ball out in right center field. He took advantage of that, and now he's in scoring position for Jake Sukata. And no outs for the Pilots here in the bottom of the 8th. Sukata puts down a bunt, ends up in the right-handed batter's box. So it'll be a foul ball. He'll start out 0-1. A lot happening for the Pilots here in the back half of this game. Actually, for both teams. In the first 3 innings, Waves jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the first. Pilots tied it up with 2 runs in the bottom of the second, took a 1-run lead in the bottom of the third to lead 3-2. Then you go 3 straight frames without a score as Sukata fouls off another bunt attempt, now behind 0-2. The Waves finally took the lead in the top of the 7th. They scored 2 runs, took the lead 4-3. Pilots came back by scoring 1 in the bottom of the 7th thanks to a sacrifice fly by Ben Pataxel that drove in Zach Talia. That tied the game up at 4s. And now Holcroft's RBI single gives the Pilots the lead 5-4 late in this ball game. Sukata will go down on strikes. That's the first out in the bottom of the 8th, and that brings up Zach Talia. Talia's hits in his last 2 at-bats. He's 2 for 3 today. Strikeout in the first, a sacrifice fly that brought in a run in the 3rd. Then he singled in the 5th, was left stranded at 2nd, and then in the 7th, he scored the tying run thanks to that sacrifice fly by Pataxel when he doubled to open up the 7th inning. First pitch, breaking ball. And I think he fooled Talia right there. Almost had that lined up. 0-1. "13 hits in this game for the Pilots. So Talia takes ball 1. They would like some insurance here. Ground ball to the right side at least, moves Holcroft over to 3rd. Base hit, though, probably scores him. Gives you a 2-run cushion. Baird missing high and away on a fastball, 2-1. Baird, a grad student from Parker, Colorado. Made 20 appearances last season, the most by a wave. Talia, foul ball, just missing that line as Melhoff gave a diving effort. Couldn't have been more than 6 to 7 inches off that line down at 3rd, behind the bag. But instead, ends up as a strike, 2-2. Sophomore from Gig Harbor has an opportunity to add an extra run for Portland. Start off conference play with a win, a hard-fought victory in which they had to come from behind twice. Another ball turned on and foul. The Pilots now holding on to this 1-run lead. There's an arm warming up in the bullpen. It looks like Jacob Dobmeyer warming up for Portland. He's been the de facto closer this season so far. A couple of different arms that they've used. At one point it was Allegro, and then you've got Dobmeyer. And there's another arm in there as well. Here's the 2-2. Off the end of the bat, and again another foul ball that's spoiled by Talia. Not an easy out right now at the plate. If you're just joining us, the Pilots took the lead here in the bottom of the 8th thanks to Christian Cooney with a pinch hit, a leadoff double to get into scoring position, and he scored on an RBI single by Jake Holcroft that ended up in the right center field. Here's the 2-2. Open stance for Talia. Didn't chase, thought he should go for it, and you can see a bit of frustration on his face as he heads back to the dugout. 2 gone now. Riley Knight comes to the plate. 2 for 4 today, 2 singles, a strikeout and a ground out. Last time up in the 7th, reached on a single, got over to 3rd thanks to a wild pitch where he took 2 bases in the single wild pitch and was left stranded over at 3rd. Ground ball hit over to the right side. Johnson drops down to a knee, waits for Oriana to turn around and delivers the ball. But the Pilots retake the lead thanks to Jake Holcroft's RBI single to score Christian Cooney. And it's a 5-4 ball game down to the final 3 outs for the Waves. Oriana, Bradshaw, and Shane when we return. of the 9th inning. The Pepperdine Waves down to their final 3 outs as the Portland Pilots have a 5-4 lead. Brian Slyke on the call as we welcome you back to Joe Etzel Field. Jacob Dobmeyer is on the mound to try to close this out for the Pilots. He'll go up against Lincoln Oriana as his first at-bat. Start out 0-1. Oriana is 1 for 3 today. Strikeout looking back in the second. Grounded out to Ben Pataxel at second base. Here's a ground ball and a diving effort just underneath the glove of Jonas Salk, who comes in as a defensive replacement. He's in at second. Spencer Scott is now out of the game as Pataxel moves over to short. And we'll give you the rest of the infield as Oriana reaches on a leadoff single to start off the top of the 9th as Connor Bradshaw will come to the plate. Bradshaw's 0 for 3, a fly out to left field. Strikeout looking in the 4th, and then he reached on an error back in the 7th. Now things start to get a little bit tighter for the Pilots with the leadoff man aboard. And then Grant Shane, who's supposed to be on deck, he is. He's 3 for 3 today, and he's had 4 productive at-bats as he sacrificed bunted his last time to the plate. Saunders, who's in at third, creeping in. Dobmeyer delivers a strike to Bradshaw to start him out 0-1. So your outfield is looking like Knight, Holcroft, and Mensch still. Nothing's changed for the Pilots. Your infield, though, a little bit different. Saunders came in defensively a couple innings ago. Pataxel moves over from second to shortstop. Jonas Salk just came in at short or at second base. Bradshaw pops it up, and it's caught by Saunders. And having to go back to first, it's not Oriana he's pinch run for. It's Luke Pemberton who just came in, the redshirt sophomore from Boulder, Colorado. Here it is again. Bradshaw just pops it up and an easy catch for Saunders. So with Pemberton over at first, he adds some speed to the base path for Oriana. He's got a decent lead over at that bag. Shane's first pitch he sees from Dobmeyer's a slider on the far side of the plate for a strike, 0-1. Pemberton is only making his 8th appearance on the season. He does have a stolen base, though, so that's something to keep an eye on as the Waves try to get into scoring position. Nick Klemp has already thrown out a base runner as Dobmeyer missing low to be 1-1. As Klemp threw out John Peck, who tried to steal second back in the 7th inning. Salk, the second baseman, in shallow right field with his heels on the grass. The 1-1. No chase from Shane, low and away for a ball, 2-1. Ground ball could get a double play. Get out of this game with a victory. Dobmeyer throws. Shane check swing. He went around though for a strike. Evens the count at 2-2. Be a great opportunity to get the first out of Shane in this series right here in the top of the 9th. Trying to limit the Waves. The 2-2. Shane spoils that pitch. Clackamas, Oregon native, lives to fight again. Looks like Pataxel will cover the bag if the runner goes. 2-2. Slider, strike 3 on Shane. He goes down looking. And now the Waves are down to their final out. Dobmeyer picks up a huge strikeout on the hottest hitter on this team as John Peck, an always dangerous hitter, now comes to the plate in the Waves' final out as you get another look at that last pitch from Dobmeyer. You see how close it was to the edge. Oh, that's close. You have to swing at it. First pitch to Peck. Delivered for a strike, inner part of the plate, thigh high, 0-1. Peck has 2 groundouts today, a fly out, and then he also reached on an error back in the 7th. Part of a 2-error 7th that brought in 2 runs for the Waves and gave them that 4-3 lead briefly. Peck swings at a high slider, sends it foul to our right and out of play. And now it's 0-2. Pilots a strike away from opening up the conference season with a victory. Try not to leave anything elevated. Keep it low if you're Dobmeyer. Peck has home run power. The 0-2. Tried to get him to chase. As Clem backhands that one in the left-handed batter's box. 1-2. Pilots came from behind twice in this one by 2 runs when they trailed 2-0 in the first, and then when they trailed 4-3 in the 7th. And a strikeout for Dobmeyer, the save. And the Pilots take game 1 5-4. It was a tough one for Portland. They trailed early, trailing 2-0 in the first. They did not give up though, responding with 2 runs in the second, 1 in the third, and then came back again in the 7th with 1 run to tie it at 4, and the lucky 5th run thanks to Jake Holcroft's RBI single on his 3rd hit of the day gives the Pilots a 5-4 victory. Tune in tomorrow on the WCC Network at 1 p.m. as the Pilots take on the Waves in Game 2 of our series. We'll catch you then. Thank you to the production crew. I'm Brian Slike. We'll see you then.